Hey guys, well, OpenAI's Sam Altman is apparently saying that the AI industry might be forming a bubble similar to the dot-com bubble or the real estate bubble in the 1990s and the late 2000s, respectively. So this is a very interesting scenario, especially because this is coming from the CEO of one of the biggest AI companies in the world. This is coming from Sam Altman himself, and he's saying that this industry is forming a bubble. That's a very interesting thing to say, so we're going to go ahead and cover it in today's video. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and look at this article by CNBC. OpenAI's Sam Altman sees an AI bubble forming as industry spending surges. So there's a few key points here. He reportedly has said that he believes AI could be in a bubble, comparing market conditions to those of the dot-com boom in the 1990s. However, he also does say that, quote, "Are we in a phase where investors as a whole are overexcited about AI? My opinion is yes. Is AI the most important thing to happen in a very long time? My opinion is also yes," he is quoted as saying. And you know what? I can kind of understand where he's coming from. I do think that we are now kind of using AI as like a really overinflated buzzword for things that don't really have AI in it. I'll be completely honest. I do think it's kind of if you're here's a good point. If you remember Internet of Things, IoT. If you remember IoT, you'll remember how that was such a buzzword. The Internet of Things. It was like a big buzzword, and 99% of things that marketed itself as having support for IoT didn't really have IoT. But whatever. OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman thinks the artificial intelligence market is in a bubble, according to a report from The Verge published on Friday. Quote, "When bubbles happen, smart people get overexcited about a kernel of truth," Altman told a small group of reporters last week. "Are we in a phase where investors as a whole are overexcited about AI? My opinion is yes. Is AI the most important thing to happen in a very long time? My opinion is also yes," he was quoted as saying. Altman appeared to compare this dynamic to the infamous dot-com bubble, a stock market crash centered on internet-based companies that led to massive investor enthusiasm. That led to massive investor enthusiasm, during the late 1990s. Between March 2000 and October 2002, the Nasdaq lost nearly 80% of its value after many of these companies failed to generate revenue or profits. And to be honest, yeah, that might be a similar consideration. Now, does that mean we might be in a similar scenario now? Now, does that mean AI as an industry is inevitably doomed? No, I don't think so. The technology is too good for it to be doomed. We're not just going to shove it away and scrap it. That's not going to happen. I think what Altman is trying to say is that we're probably going to see a lot of AI companies bite the dust. Now, similar to the stock market crash involving the dot-com bubble, not every dot-com company failed. I mean, there's still a lot that are around. I mean, hey, we're talking on a Google product right now. Google was a thing back then. So, it's not like the internet itself failed because a whole bunch of companies failed. It just more so means that some of these companies are kind of riding on the AI bandwagon, but don't really have a good way of generating revenue or, I don't know, keeping themselves tethered to what actual customers would want or would use, and instead are just leeching off of venture capital funding. Basically, I think that's kind of what he's saying here, is that we're probably going to see a lot of AI companies just fail. But that's mostly because they're riding on the AI trend and not so much actually doing anything of any actual real value. So, again, this is kind of what it says here. From the perspective from the perspective of broader investment in AI and semiconductors, I don't see it as a bubble. The fundamentals across the supply chain remain strong, and the long-term trajectory of the AI trend supports continued investment. However, he's added that there's an increasing amount of speculative capital chasing companies with weaker fundamentals and only perceived potential, which could create pockets of overvaluation. Which, yeah, there's a lot of companies that are just kind of riding the AI train, but aren't necessarily doing anything of any actual value. To be honest, that is kind of how it is. Um, it's similar to any new tech buzzword. Like a couple of years ago, it was 5G. Now it's AI. So it's just kind of the way things go. Companies will pop up and then they'll drop off the face of the earth once they are no longer deemed valuable because they weren't doing anything valuable to begin with. Um, so yeah, basically, I don't think we're going to see Anthropic or OpenAI or any of these companies go away anytime soon. I think he's more so talking about the companies that kind of leech off the buzzword and don't really do anything of any real value, effectively, is the way to put it. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at. I think the headline itself sounds really scary, but when you read into it, it's not really that scary. Honestly, I think it's expected. There's a lot of companies that try to capitalize on something popular, but don't have any real way of sustaining themselves outside of venture capital funding, and venture capital only lasts so long. That's just the way it is. That's about it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, you guys, and remember to stay safe out there.